All right, let's get to the news. Worth knowing. Hey, did you hear about Tim Pool getting shot at? His house got shot at, EK? He did not, huh? Okay. That's a little bit of gossip. It's not really news worth knowing, but it was funny. My friend of mine sent me a news article where they were talking about, somebody came up to Tim Pool's property in West Virginia, not too far from here, by the way, and fired some shots off at his house. Everybody's okay, but Tim Pool went off. I love when he's mad. Whenever I hear something about Tim Pool that would make him mad, that's when I like tuning into the show. It's like I want to see Tim pissed off because I like that. I like when he's pissed. But I read the article and I was like, they kept calling him conservative, and I was like, it was a Fox News article, and they kept calling Tim Pool conservative, and I was like, what? He's an old school Democrat. That's all. I know it's conservative these days, but anyway, not news worth knowing, just gossip, really. Anyway. Let's go to Minnesota. Police unions, Minnesota Dems allegedly let tax dollars fund terrorists as police left without money to protect the public. This is from the police union. As violent crime endangers communities across Minnesota, police say that they were left stretched thin and underfunded while state leaders directed millions elsewhere, a gap now drawing sharp scrutiny from public safety experts and the police union leaders. The gap is under the microscope. The state deals in a massive fraud scandal involving hundreds of millions of dollars, including allegations of taxpayer money finding its way into the terrorist groups Al-Shabaab in Somalia, all under the nose of Democrat leaders. Randy Sutton, a police veteran, founder of the Wounded Blue, told Fox News Digital the crisis extends beyond one agency or city. Public safety is at risk. This is what he said. We are in a criminal justice crisis in America, Sutton said. Political leadership is destroying public safety through their ideology. Mark Ross, president of the St. Paul Police Foundation, says Minnesota is living that crisis in real time. Quote, we've been down anywhere from 50 to 100 officers since 2020, and we just haven't recovered from that, Ross told Fox News Digital. Right now, we're about 1,000 police officers short in the state of Minnesota, and we're on pace to lose another 2,000, 2,500 over the years, in the next few years. Staffing shortages come as Minnesota recorded 170 murders in 2024, according to the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. Only slightly below the year before, but numbers. So here's the thing. I'm pretty sure, after Derek Chauvin and got thrown in jail, I'm pretty sure a whole bunch of cops in Minnesota, particularly, but all over the country, said maybe I should get out of this business. Maybe I should look getting into private security because this is getting ridiculous. And when it comes to these Democrat cities and these Democrat-run places, they're just, even when you arrest somebody, they're going to kick them right back out. All the charges will get dismissed. Some female judge is going to be like, oh, it's just a poor, misunderstood black guy. George Floyd, he's just some poor, misunderstood black guy. He deserves 87 chances. And that's the problem. It's like they finally catch these guys, and then you kick them out. You don't let them. You don't actually put them in jail. You don't make them face any consequences for the crimes. So even if the cops do stay on the job, what the hell are they doing? They're going to be sitting there in their car, drinking coffee, listening to podcasts, not doing a damn thing. If I were a cop, that's what I'd be doing now. Nothing. Because you'd be terrified that, you're going to try to enforce the law, and then everyone's going to turn against you, calling you horrible names. It's like, no, I'm just trying to, enforce the law. Anyway, yeah, Minnesota is a messed up state. All right, let's talk about a little bit more trouble in Minnesota. Minnesota college administrator accused of impeding ICE arrest to protect student sexual predator. All right, this is what Democrats are doing. This is what these people are doing. Get a load of this. A small private college in Minneapolis is at the center of a controversy after the Department of Homeland Security accused staff members of impeding ICE operations in order to protect an illegal alien student who the department says is also a registered sex offender. On Monday night, DHS responded to a local news report said on X that ICE agents arrested Jesus Saucedo Portillo, cool name, criminal illegal alien for a sex offender, cool name for a sex offender, and registered sex offender with a prior conviction for driving while impaired. So a bunch of stuff. The arrest was hindered when the school administrator teamed up with campus security and attempted to prevent ICE agents from doing their job. Saucedo Portillo is an undergraduate student at Augsburg University in Minneapolis. Quote, our officers told the school administrator and campus security that ICE had a warrant for the illegal alien's arrest. The school administrator told ICE officers they were violating university policies, the statement said. Our officers informed that federal law supersedes any university policy and that if campus security would not stop blocking the law enforcement vehicle from exiting, they would be obstructing justice. Despite the warning, the administrator refused to back down and ordered campus security to block the ICE vehicle, according to DHS. Quote, our officers followed their training and used a minimum amount of force necessary to clear the area and successfully arrested this criminal illegal alien. In an interview with Minnesota Public Radio, Augsburg President Paul Pitibnow, corroborated that Saucedo Portillo is a student and claimed that the arrest was illegal and the ICE did not have a warrant. He also said ICE agents drew their weapons on a group of staff and students who had gathered near the incident. The students then called campus security, which set off a protocol for when ICE is on campus. When a law enforcement officer draws his weapon, that means he feels threatened. All right? And that's what these activists are doing. They're threatening law enforcement because they think we should keep illegal immigrant sex offenders in this country because it's the right thing to do. These are college professors. These are people who are supposed to be smart. You know, every now and then I'll regret like not going to college. Then, you know, I'll read a story like this and it's like, you know, I'm actually a free thinker because I didn't go to college. Anyway, no offense, dude.
Some people get jobs because they're qualified.
Yeah.
Not because they're smart.
I know.
I'm speaking very specifically about college professors.
Okay. They're qualified. I understand.
Not necessarily smart.
Yes, I see what you're saying. I hope that mic picked you up. Because it almost never does.
Because I stopped.
Okay. Okay. It almost never picks you up. Sure. For example, like, say you went to Harvard, all right, and you barely squeaked through. Does that really matter? So you barely passed in Harvard, barely got your degree. You still graduate, you know, you still look the same on a resume as like Ben Shapiro. You know what I'm saying? Ben Shapiro is obviously a smart guy. And qualified. But, you know, there's two separate things there. Intelligence and wisdom, two different things. Anyway. Let's talk about RFK for a bit. Boy, they're mad. They are so mad that that a Kennedy is helping Republicans. And they have this weird, like, fantasy about what John F. Kennedy was. Anyway. Didn't he fight in World War II? He was on, like, a PT boat and shit. Anyway. House Democrat introduces impeachment articles against RFK Jr. Says he's turned his back on science. A House Democrat filed articles of impeachment against Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. On Wednesday, Representative Haley Stevens, Democrat Michigan, announced the move on Wednesday, arguing Kennedy has failed in his role. Stevens has previously vowed to file these articles in September. Quote, today I formally introduced articles of impeachment against Robert F. Kennedy Jr. RFK Jr. has turned his back on science and the safety of the American people. Michiganders cannot take another day of this chaos, she wrote in a statement posted on social media. HHS spokesman Andrew Nixon you know what you know that story about Lincoln? Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy and Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln? Anyway, I wonder if they do that on purpose. Say again?
There's a lot
of like
weird conspiratorial links between those two
okay.
dudes.
With Lincoln and Kennedy, yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. He keeps having to poke his head in here. So you move things around. Anyway. Secretary Kennedy remains focused on the work of improving Americans' health, and lowering costs, not on a partisan political stunts. I think that's fair to say. The move comes just days after Stevens' fellow Democrat Representative Shri Thanadar from Michigan filed articles of impeachment against War Secretary Pete Hegseth. Thanedar pointed to reports that Hegseth issued orders to kill everybody on board a small vessel that was allegedly involved in drug trafficking. Pete Hegseth has been using the United States military to extrajudicially assassinate people without evidence of any crime. Former military attorneys have come out and asserted his conduct constitutes war crimes. We cannot allow his reprehensible conduct to continue. That's why I filed these articles to impeach him. Both Michigan Democrats facing hotly contested Democratic primaries for the upcoming 2026 elections. I'm sure they mean it's hotly contested for a Democrat, like which Democrat's going to win it. And that's kind of the problem with Michigan and the people from Michigan. They're way too liberal. Same with Minnesota, Michigan, way too liberal. Detroit used to be a really big city, really important to this nation. But unions, Democrats, they ruined all that. And that's what Democrats are good at. They're ruining stuff. They're good at ruining stuff. Yeah, they're mad at RFK Jr. mostly because he's a Kennedy and he's working with Republicans, which is intolerable these days for some reason. I'm willing to work with Democrats, especially if they're reasonable. Like if Tim Pool wanted to go in together on something, I'd be like, okay, I just don't want to talk politics with you because you're a Democrat. You're okay at the first indoctrination step of the communist mentality, which is liberalism. Anyway. And with Hegseth, they're looking for anything to pin on him, just anything to pin on Hegseth. And when it comes to like the double tap strike, like it's okay to like shoot him once. It's like, okay, now we blew up the boat. They're floating in the water. Now you can't do anything. Now you're against the Geneva Conventions by firing again. It's like, get bent. This is war. I don't know if maybe it's because I was in the Navy, I was in the military, and I understand that it's. I'm a no quarter kind of guy, when it comes to combat. And if you've ever fought me, I wonder if you're out there watching. I wonder if there's people who fought me that are out there. I'll fight to win. And fighting to win sometimes means lethality. And lethality is terrifying. I don't know if you know that. It was like, what happened to Hector? And just vaporized, just red mist. And, I really don't give a damn. I really don't give a damn that they're killing these drug traffickers. Because I know people in my family been affected by these drug problems, all these fentanyl that's going on the streets. I'm sure you do too. I'm sure you know somebody who died from fentanyl. So screw them. They're our enemies. And quit whining about it. Because that's the point. It's like you guys are siding with, sex offenders, drug dealers, terrorists, and we're supposed to just, assume that you're not one of those also? Anyway, let's get 2 happier stories, then we'll get out of here. I'm starting to get mad. All right. Hot debate about nightmare plane passenger erupts. Wait. Okay. Did you do this one? Oh. You're right, I missed one. I do want to talk about that. Farts. I closed it. Hold on. Pull it up again. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I'm sure EK, because I was actually leading into this story. Damn it. 3 people arrested after 7 Providence college students overdosed at off-campus party. Police seized 20 grams of fentanyl, $1,700 of cash, and 5 firearms from a home. That's a lot of fentanyl. Enough to kill a lot of people. Anyway, 3 people were arrested after allegedly supplying drugs to 7 Providence college students who overdosed during a party outside of campus, according to police. Providence police said officers responded to a party last week on Lee Street in Providence, Rhode Island, where they located 4 students passed out in the front yard of the home, according to WBZ TV. A total of 7 people at the party overdosed, were given Narcan, and were transported to a hospital where they were reported to be conscious and alert. That Narcan is amazing, right? And it's about timing. You got to get there in time. Officers later searched the home on Hawkins Street and seized about 20 grams of fentanyl, $1,700 in cash, 2 rifles, and 3 handguns, including one which was a ghost gun. Angel Williams, 33, Patrick Patterson, 32, and Kim Cherie, Seminow. Kim Cherie, I actually like that. 33 were arrested. Williams and Patterson faced various drug and gun charges, while Seminow was charged with possession of a ghost gun. The girl had the ghost gun. Williams and Patterson being held without bail, and Seminow was released on $10,000 bond. None of the three suspects are students at the college. This investigation reflects the department's continuing drugs bad. Drugs are bad. Boy, you really got to be careful with drugs these days. You really do. When I was younger and more foolish, there'd be times I'd be like, what is that? And I'd just believe the guy and I'd try it. I don't recommend that, especially these days. I've run into people who used to be junkies, and they used to be junkies because they heard about fentanyl and they knew 8 people who got hit by, killed, who OD'd on fentanyl. And they're like, I got to get out of this before I die too. And that was a wake up call for them. Good for them. But it's getting real serious out there, because there was a time in my life when I was desperate and angry and depressed and didn't care what happened to me and stuff like that, where I would have tried anything. And I did. I tried some things. There's some things I'd stay away from, like opioids. I generally don't like opioids. I don't like sleeping. How's that fun? So, but there was a time I would have tried anything. What is that, a pill? What is it? I'll take it. I don't care. So you got to be careful these days. And let me tell you something. If you're a 30-something and you got to hang out with college students, there's something wrong with your life. I was thinking about this earlier about that scene in Superbad where they go to that party and there's a bunch of late 20s guys and they're doing harder stuff. They got guns and cocaine and so forth. And it's like, if you're trying to be cool to impress a bunch of teenagers, supplying drugs to teenagers. I know they're college age, but 19 is still a teenager. And when you're 20, you're barely not a teenager anymore. So I mean, if you're trying to look cool around a bunch of 20 somethings and you're in your 30s, there's something really, really wrong with you. It's like, did you hate high school that bad? Were you so nerdy that you want to capture that feeling of being popular? You want to go to a high school party and be the coolest guy in the room? Finally? Not me. Got to be careful with those drugs, people. Stick to the ones I like, caffeine and alcohol. All right, let's go to happier stories and then we'll get out of here. Hot debate about nightmare plane passenger erupts after man brews espresso at 35,000 feet. Flyer's been drawing attention online after making a fresh cup of espresso during a commercial flight, prompting mixed and in some cases heated reactions from viewers on social media. There's a TikTok video posted by user Orzan Sentinkaya, forgive me, shows the traveler grinding his own espresso beans and using a handheld app-connected brewing device while seated next to the window. The post, as of late Monday, garnered nearly 2 million views and shows a freshly brewed shot of espresso going into a mug mid-flight at 35,000 feet. Commenters quickly weighed in, some questioning the person's decision to prepare coffee while in the air. My seat neighbor nightmare, one user commented. Another said, being insufferable at 35,000 feet. Another commenter joked, next time I fly, I'll bring my portable barbecue and grill up some steaks. All this is irrelevant, of course. Several users also questioned the person's need for the device, noting that the airlines already provide coffee on board, and that the person could wait for his beverage of choice until after a landing. Others came to his defense, however, pointing out that many travelers avoid airplane coffee because they don't like the taste. And the coffee isn't good enough for you. Cry me a river, you caffeine junkies. Soda. Caffeine is how I get my caffeine. Anyway, the viewers raised questions about whether the devices that use heat, thank you, that's the issue right there. Devices that use heat or electrical components are allowed on commercial flights, as airlines typically expect passengers to keep personal items stowed and avoid bringing equipment that could disrupt the cabin. Many were also unsure how the portal machine got through airport security. And if you've been through airport security, you're probably like, what the hell? It's like, how'd you get that pass? The video sparked wider concern about in-flight etiquette, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's as important as the fact that he brought a heating element into the cabin of an airplane. And I don't know if you know this about terrorists, but any kind of thing like that they can exploit, they will. They put a bomb in a shoe before. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think that's kind of stuff should be, barred, should be banned from air travel. Not only is it annoying that some guy took it upon himself to be okay to do this, but I understand you like your espresso, and nobody makes your coffee the way you do. You like it the way you do. I get it. I get it. But that's a heating element, and if it can get onto a cabin of an airplane, I think that's a bad idea, because there can be a way to exploit that negatively. Anyway, I can't wait till the plane lands to have my espresso. What a douche. All right, let's talk about this idiot who ate 1,000 sardines in a month. He lost 6 pounds and smelled like a fish market. Yeah. Although the sardine summer fad has ended, one researcher didn't let that stop him. He dove in full dolphin, as he put it, eating 1,000 of the 10 fish in 30 days. Nick Norwitz, MD, PhD, a Harvard and Oxford trained metabolic health researcher and educator based in Boston, set out to test with extreme sardine-only diet could mimic fasting and provide benefits such as fat loss and longevity without sacrificing muscle. He's a medical doctor, a PhD, studied at both Harvard and Oxford, and this is what he decided to do. Qualified, not intelligent. All right, so, quote, sardines, skin, bone, and all, they're nature's protein bar and multivitamin in one, Norwitz said in a YouTube video earlier this month following 30 days of the diet. He compared the fish to a metabolic Swiss Army knife. For a month in October, the 30-year-old ate roughly 3 tins a day, about 3 to 5 fish per tin, and tracked weight, ketones, omega-3 levels, and workout performance. I wanted to see if they could deliver the benefits of fasting without the drawbacks, he said in the video. If that's all you're eating, that's really not a whole lot of calories. Anyway, so you kind of were fasting. Norwitz started just with sardines, then added olive oil and MCT oil, fast-burning fat made from coconut or palm oil, often used to boost focus and metabolism to counter initial feelings of low energy. See, he started this diet and then he had low energy because he probably wasn't eating enough calories. Because somebody needs to tell this guy that he's not a dolphin. He also added salt for electrolytes to maintain hydration and replace sodium during ketosis when the body burns fat and for energy instead of carbs. Honestly, adding the fat made a world of difference, he reported in the midst of the experiment. It has been 4 days since I started adding olive oil to my diet, and it just felt like night and day, more energetic. Yeah, olives grow on land. Throughout the diet, Norwitz said he felt unusually light and strong. He reported boundless stamina, breezing through workouts, practicing inversions on monkey bars, and climbing 37 flights of stairs to his apartment. Nice. Healthy dude. By the final week, he lost 6 pounds and reached what he called dolphin-like omega-3 levels. His blood test showed omega-3 readings so high that they broke the scale. No, they didn't. Hyperbole. My blood looked more like...
Pun?
What'd you say?
Was that a pun?
Did I do a pun?
Unintentionally? Scale? Fish?
No.
Sardines?
That was unintentional. Broke the scale. No, he said it. It must have been a pun. Dick. Thank you, EK. Sometimes I miss him. Quote, my blood looked more dolphin than human, he joked. What does that mean? Overall, Norwitz found that in his personal experience, the sardine diet delivered high-quality protein, omega-3s, and nutrients such as creatine and CoQ10 that boosted energy, burned fat, and preserved muscle. He also triggered ketosis and the metabolism-boosting hormone FGF21, leading to weight loss and sharper focus. The main downside, Norwitz said, he began to smell like a fish market. Despite showering, brushing his teeth, and spritzing cologne. Just a few days in, his girlfriend told him, you smell like you're sweating fish. He tracked kiss frequency. He tracked kiss frequency from her before and after the sardine meals. What a nerd. Is that what they do at like Harvard and Oxford, turn you into a super nerd? Even if they don't point you in any specific direction? You know, you're a super nerd, and so you're going to track how many kisses you get from your wife, or your girlfriend, I'm sorry, and like all your fatty acid, your omega-3s and stuff. That's what you decided to do with your doctorate, huh? Okay. I track kisses as data points. So in blinded fashion, at least blinded to her, I track kiss frequency. Right, it's a biased experiment, dude. With the emphasis on the window of 4 hours after I had a meal of sardines. And yes, I did brush my teeth and put on cologne. And honestly, I stopped tracking for 5 days because, true to her word, the number plummeted to 0. Yeah, you're eating nothing but fish, dipshit. Despite that, he's stuck with the diet, occasionally swapping in non-sardine dinner with friends, usually seafood-heavy, low-carb. Okay, to keep his metabolism consistent. Yeah, because you're not a dolphin, dude. Norwitz said the sardine fast may have been worth experimenting with for people curious about fasting and metabolic resets, but stress is not for everyone, especially those who have human relationships. I'm kidding. He said, especially for those who are already very lean and sensitive to carb restriction. Yeah, if you're already thin, you shouldn't do that. He noted an extremely high omega-3 levels haven't been extensively studied in humans. Well, why don't you do that instead? Anyway, if I had only one food, it would be sardines. When eaten whole, they're completely nutritious, bioavailable protein. This guy is weird as hell. We are not dolphins. And despite what people think about how related dolphins and humans are, we're actually very, very different species. All right. Yeah, we're both fallen a mammalia. All right. But you understand there's sea mammals and there's land mammals. Guess which one we are? We're land mammals. Yeah, you should get a lot of fish in your diet. Those omega-3 fatty acids are great. I would recommend fish oil. But even if you're taking like fish oil pills, you're still burping up a fish flavor. You still might get less kisses from your girlfriend. You know what I mean? Because you stink like fish. You know why? Everything in the ocean stinks like fish. All right? Dolphins are swimming around everywhere, and everything smells like fish and dying fish and fish poop. Okay, it's the ocean. All right? So it's like they can't smell it anymore. They can't taste the fish taste. All they taste is the delicious meat and the fatty acids. You know what I'm saying? But we live on land. We have much more developed taste buds than dolphins. Okay? We are land mammals. And we need stuff that's from the land. Grains, beef. Every now and then. Sure, a lot of fatty acids are good for you, omega-3s and so forth are good for you. But unless you don't want to get laid, you don't go on a pure fish diet. This guy is insane. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. Whoa, it's after 3. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Follow me on social media over here at DNALATSAW on the Twitters, at SLRobbins13 on Instagram, and Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. Sorry about the trouble and technical difficulties today, but this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and believe it or not, I love you.
The madman loves you all, from the big to the small.